Welcome to another episode of Point Cooking. I'm Marlon White, and today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of the keto diet. So last year I lost 34 kilograms. So this ain't coming from somebody that failed the diet or gave up early. This is coming from somebody that had success with the diet and it worked for me. But now that I stopped doing keto, I can finally give you an honest breakdown of the positive and negatives based on my personal experience. Keto can be incredibly effective, but it's not a perfect diet. So let's start with the positive first. So the first positive is that you get to eat food that you enjoy. I remember finding out that you can have burgers, bacon, cheese, and nuts. And coming from a low-calorie diet, I would normally have to cut these type of foods out. So this diet felt completely different. And honestly, this didn't feel like I was on a diet, which was the main reason I was able to stick to this diet for so long. The next positive is appetite control, which is keto's biggest strength. High-fat foods are very filling, which means that your appetite will naturally go down. And once you're on ketosis, your hunger goes down and you don't constantly think about food anymore. And for me personally, the food noise disappeared. I wasn't constantly thinking about food. I was just eating when I was hungry, which meant I was naturally going into a calorie deficit. Another benefit that I noticed is that I had consistent energy throughout the day and my body was no longer relying on carbs as the energy source. It was burning fat instead. This made it easy for me to stay focused and consistent day to day. The next benefit is fast fat loss. Keto is very effective for quick weight loss, especially in the beginning. You lose body fat and water weight very quickly in the beginning, and that early drop on the scales is very motivating in the beginning. It helps you to stay locked in and committed to the process. The next benefit to keto is that it's very simple. You remove most of the carbs, sugary snacks, and processed food. So this alone cuts out a lot of the bad habits and it makes meal prep really easy. The next benefit is that keto forced me to stay disciplined. It forced me to plan my meals when I was shopping, buy keto-friendly ingredients, and do meal prep for work. This structure helped me to stay consistent and lose a large amount of weight. The first negative is the social limitation, which was a big downside for me. For example, I went to a christening a few years ago where there was no keto-friendly foods being served. And unfortunately, this meant I couldn't eat any food, which made things awkward because I was the only one not eating, which meant people kept asking me questions and the organizer felt offended. I had to keep explaining that there's nothing wrong with the food, it's just that I'm on a diet so I cannot eat it. Even things like going out with friends can be very tricky. Like when I used to drink, the alcohol option is very limited. You can only drink dry wines or spirits, which can be a bit weird depending on who you're drinking with. You cannot really drink beers or any sugary drinks. The choices like this can be very awkward, and sometimes I did give in, which caused me to fall off the diet completely. Next disadvantage is that keto is very restrictive. You're cutting out a lot of carbs, which makes it hard to stick with long term. You have to cut out food like rice, bread, fruit, and potato, which is fine in short term, but long term it can be very difficult to keep this up. The next disadvantage is that meal planning can be time consuming. Keto requires planning. You can't always rely on grabbing something from the stores. You have to think ahead, prep meals, or check menus if you're planning to eat out. This extra effort can become tiring over time. Next disadvantage is lower training performance. I noticed for me when working out at a moderate pace, I had unlimited energy, but anytime I did anything intensive, I didn't have any energy to keep pushing myself. I noticed as I got closer to my target weight, I had lower energy, I felt weaker, and I had less endurance. So the next disadvantage for me, I developed a fear of carbs. I saw carbs as the enemy. I thought if I was to eat carbs, I'll instantly get fat again, which is not the truth. It just depends on what you're eating and how much you're eating. So when I did reintroduce carbs and I didn't gain weight, I realized how much my mindset had been shaped by this diet. So my final thoughts about keto, it works. It helped me to lose 34 kilograms last year. But the one thing I learned is that the best diet for you is what works for you long term. For me, keto was great for losing weight, but not ideal for my long-term goal of building muscle and increasing my performance. So if you tried keto before, I'd be interested to hear about your experience. Did it work for you? Did you lose weight? So if you're interested in following my journey as I continue to build muscle, increase my performance, and maintain my weight after losing 34 kilograms, please subscribe to my channel and like this video.